Any Jane Doe can tell you that Geico could help you save. But since money talks, we just ask the savings instead.
Greetings and sun salutations. I'm Jane's Money, and I never knew my self-worth until Jane switched her car insurance at Geico.com. Those 15 minutes built me up to real savings. Geico's been helping customers save money like me for over 75 years. So take that to the bank. And namaste.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew. Well, people counted down to New Year's, where it is already 2016 in New Zealand as well as Australia. What you hear here are the people reveling in Auckland, New Zealand, courtesy of TV New Zealand. Meanwhile, in New York City, still people prepping for the celebrations. About 1 million revelers expected to turn out tonight in Times Square to usher in 2016. Officials say the city will be safe despite the always looming threat of a possible terrorist attack. Some 6,000 police will be on duty. Reporter Jackie Quinn says there were injuries after an Air Canada flight from China encountered turbulence on its way to Toronto.
Emergency officials in Calgary say about 20 passengers were injured after heavy turbulence while en route to Toronto from Shanghai. It was so bad the flight was diverted to Calgary International Airport, where emergency crews were standing by to offer emergency treatment and transport to area hospitals.
As reporter Jackie Quinn, officials in Missouri have now closed a major interstate south of St. Louis as floodwaters continue to rise there. Missouri Department of Transportation engineer Karen Yeomans.
We are experiencing record flooding in St. Louis and all over Missouri. In particular, in St. Louis, we have two major interstates closed.
Interstate 55 near the town of Arnold has been completely shut down because of rising waters in the Merrimack River. More Americans requested unemployment benefits last week. Jeremy House has the numbers.
According to the Labor Department, applications for jobless aid went up by 20,000 to a seasonally adjusted 287,000. The 4-week average increased by 4,500 to 277,000. Despite the increase, jobless claims have remained below the key level of 300,000 for almost 10 months. Any figure lower than that threshold corresponds with monthly job gains of more than 200,000.
Yes, correspondent Jeremy House reporting. More on these stories from townhall.com.
I'm feverish and stuffy, but I still see you checking out my sweet cough cloud. See, when I cough, I make a cloud of 3,000 droplets of saliva. Impressive, no?
No.
But your eyes say yes.
Cough clouds are sick. Take new Robitussin CF Max Severe. It delivers powerful relief of cough, sore throat, stuffy nose, and fever. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough. Use as directed.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When our daughter Emma was born, we took a look at our credit card debt. It was not a good situation. Finally, my wife Vicki said, call Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-758-5360.
We called them, they contacted all of our creditors, they stopped the collections calls, they got the interest reduced, and they put us on a plan for success.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-758-5360.
Just how many of us are there in this land of ours? As we move into 2016, we get the tally from correspondent Wally Hines.
An estimated 322,762,018 Americans as we ring in the new year, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. That's an increase of 2.4 million in the past year. Gazing into the crystal ball, the U.S. is expected to experience one birth every 8 seconds and one death every 10 seconds throughout 2016. Factor in migration, and the U.S. will grow by one person every 29 seconds this coming year. Wally Hines, Washington.
It was supposed to be a death-defying feat. Instead, it turned out to be one man's final act. Police in New York say the man plunged to his death while trying to scale the famed Four Seasons Hotel. Police say a 24-year-old man from New Jersey tried to climb a scaffold on the outside of the 42-story hotel, then fell to his death. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. A pair of class action lawsuits against Facebook can proceed now. The center of that case is whether or not Facebook was fully honest about its earnings potential before it went public, as Andrew Walker explains.
Facebook's share price fell sharply in the months after it began trading on the stock market, losing more than half its value, although anyone who still has the shares today will have made money. Some of the investors who lost claim the company concealed concerns about how increased use of mobile devices, such as smartphones, would affect its revenue.
That's the BBC's Andrew Walker reporting. Starting tomorrow, styrofoam will be a no-no in the District of Columbia. A ban on styrofoam food and drink containers takes effect January 1st. City Council passed a law back in 2014 as part of a set of environmental initiatives. It also includes requiring businesses to use compostable, disposable dining products by the year 2017. More of these stories at townhall.com.
When you're really looking forward to an outstanding holiday office party, you've got to contact Columbo's. Why? Well, if ever there were a time for good times, that time is now. 323-254-9138. 323-254-9138. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club. Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. Columbo's. Easy, delicious, affordable, great Italian specialties, mouth-watering steaks, the freshest fish, world-famous meatballs, and jazz every night. Big or not so big budget, it doesn't matter. Columbo's is LA's #1 people-pleasing destination. They do it right. It's friendly and festive, never fawning. Don't get left out. Call Columbo's now. 323-254-9138. Because when you're really looking forward to an outstanding holiday office party, you've got to contact Columbo's. Columbo's. Buon Natale. Mangia.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Bill Martinez Live, a program about current events, our culture, our values, our politics, and our future. And now, Bill Martinez.
We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going on.
Well, hello, America. Bill Martinez here with you. Happy New Year. 6 minutes after the top of the hour. As always, you can go to BillMartinezLive.com. All the information is right there for you to eschew on and meditate on. Hey, look, it's a serious issue. I mean, we've got through 2015, 2016, looking ahead. What are we going to do different in order to, change the course and the trajectory, if that's possible? Because I understand. Well, I'll tell you, my dad has always said about me that I am the ultimate and perennial optimist, and it is tough sometimes to be optimistic when you see how the system is rigged. And if you think not, our next guest will help us even further understand, and that is the way of technocracy and what has been happening, something that we've been warned about, for decades, and it is upon us. Patrick Wood is with us right now, author, lecturer who studied elite globalization policies since the late 70s, when he partnered with the late Anthony C. Sutton to co-author Trilaterals Over Washington, Volumes 1 and 2. He remains a leading expert on the elitist Trilateral Commission, their policies and achievements in creating their self-proclaimed new international economic order. Patrick, always good to have you with us on Bill Martinez Live. Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Thank you, Bill. Good to talk to you this morning.
Well, this technocracy issue that you and I have been talking about all year and further back, actually, here on this show, continues to grow. Its agenda, which is rather pervasive, continues its creep into our everyday life to the point that too many Americans are just kind of ignoring its encroachment and how it is coming upon our liberties.
Well, it's kind of requires a new and different mindset than what people are conditioned to. For instance, while today people are looking at the political scene with, the primaries and stuff coming up, they're looking at those in traditional means. We're electing a president. He's going to make things better. He somehow is going to have the, autonomous control to do the things that we as Americans want him to do. And this simply just is blind. People are misunderstanding what's going on. And so they're looking at the facade, and they're missing the whole body of activity that's going on behind it. And this really has to stop if America is going to get turned around. People need to understand who the enemy really is, and it's not the politicians. It's not just the Hillary Clintons or just the Barack Obamas or just the Donald Trumps, depending on where you are. They're not the problem. The problem is buried deeper in our society and deeper in our government administration, and we see it manifested in the face of technocracy.
Mm-hmm. And when you say it's buried deep, I mean, what we're talking about is a systemic issue that has developed over the decades. This hasn't been something that has happened overnight. This has been developing, for years, hasn't it?
It has, and I have to want to say for years the actual historical technocracy movement goes back to the 1930s. Mm-hmm. It's very well documented, and I tried to document it as best as I could in my book, Technocracy Rising. And we've seen these policies or this philosophy move forward every decade since the 1930s. And today it's almost, it's almost to the point of absolutely smothering us. And, people talk about science, for instance, as if it were a god. Well, who are these people that promote climate, global warming policies and stuff? Where do they come from? Give us some names of people. These things just don't fall out of the sky.
Right.
These people are operating within the research institutions, within the universities, within the big military organizations like DARPA, for instance, and other national laboratories, and they're unaccountable and they're untouchable. And these are the people that are making substantive policies that are changing the world, and nobody's questioning them. People instead are looking at the politicians, they're shaking their fists at this one or that one. Well, it's their fault, it's their fault.
Right.
Well, no, it's not. You look behind it. Like where did Barack Obama get his climate change policy? Well, he didn't sit down and think it up himself. Mm-hmm. He got it from a man by the name of John Podesta, who was a world-class technocrat. And even the New York Times wrote an article and said, yep, it was John Podesta that single-handedly architected the president's climate change policy. Well, who the heck is John Podesta, and why haven't we heard about him?
Right.
Why isn't anybody complaining about him?
Mm-hmm.
You see.
Yeah. Well, I guess that remains the question, Patrick, is who is he, and how did he get in this position to have this kind of influence? And dare I say, the same type of influence is surrounding the Pope as well. That's why the Pope has made the statements he's made.
You're exactly right. It's the same crowd of people who are pushing this. And, John Podesta, by the way, is a member of the Trilateral Commission, and he served on, just a host of major climate change policies with the policy groups with the United Nations. He's currently Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. This is an interesting side note. He's thrown in his lot with Hillary, and this man has moved back and forth between government and NGOs like the United Nations and stuff with the climate change policy committees. And he operates with this basic impunity. He's in the background all the time, but you just can't quite ever put your finger on him. But he's there, and he's visible enough for me to see it, so anybody else could too.
Exactly. Well, how did he get there? What was his pathway here?
Well, John Podesta has been a political operator for a long, long time. He was Bill Clinton's chief of staff during the 90s. And so he goes way back in the political establishment. Clinton was a member of the Trilateral Commission as well, by the way. So was Al Gore.
Right.
And so John Podesta was one of the insiders, if you will, even way back then. And he has teamed up with George Soros financially to fund several progressive organizations in the last 15 years that have done quite a bit of damage to America, I might add.
Right.
And this is who this man is. He's a disruptor, and he's an ideologue. And he feels that his science is better than God. It's like Al Gore's attitude. If you don't believe like me, you deserve to be punished.
Now is Podesta and obviously, I've been saying, Patrick, there's going to be so much that we find out about Barack Obama after the fact. Yes. So much has been hidden, and is like a walking cabal. We still, there's just so much rumor, and I've often said that in the absence of fact, opinion rules, and it gets pretty crazy. The stuff that's out there about this president. And I just have this sense that once he leaves office, things are going to open up, and we're going to find out, things that that people are going to say. Well, we knew that. We understood that was the case. It is amazing to me that the President of the United States, with all his aliases, the suspicion of still remains about his birth certificate, and suddenly that brings up the birther issue, and there we go. Okay, forget it. I'm tuned out. I don't want to talk about it. But there's this plethora of question marks that is around this presidency that here in the 21st century that we're all scratching our heads over.
Well, my my advice to anybody who's struggling with these issues is to quit looking at the president and look at his handlers. They're the ones you need to be concerned with because they move from administration to administration. They're there all the time. They've been there for the last 30 years. These are the people that need to be dealt with, and it's not the president. The president really is just it's an empty suit, like Jimmy Carter was an empty suit back in '76, and they never had a policy of their own. These policies were handed to them by members of the Trilateral Commission and said, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to say, and these are the policies that you're going to push. So what's the point of blaming the president?
And I got to imagine these guys are really a bit nervous with the movement and the increasing popularity of a very independent Donald Trump, because he operates out of that 9-dot paradigm that they've been able to control, as you say, over decades. Patrick Wood is with us. We've got more from Patrick right after this. Stay with us, America. It's 15 after the top of the hour.
This report is brought to you by Shriners Hospitals for Children. The U.S. Fire Administration reports more home fires during the holiday months than any other time of the year. Home fires and deaths increase significantly with more cooking, decorations, and open flames. And the biggest fire risk of all could be your Christmas tree. Shriners Hospitals for Children and actor Joe Minoso of NBC's Chicago Fire offer simple steps to keep families safe from fires and burn injuries with the Be Burn Aware PSA series. Joe Minoso.
During the holidays, hundreds of kids are taken to the ER with severe burns. That's why I'm working with Shriners Hospitals for Children to remind you to be burn aware this holiday season.
Simple steps like watering your tree daily and discarding the tree once it becomes dry can significantly reduce the risk of house fires and burn injuries. Additional tips include making sure your tree is at least 3 feet from heat sources and never leaving lit candles unattended. Learn more at BeBurnAware.org.
The holidays are an enjoyable time of year, but amid all the hustle and bustle, it's important to remember there are various safety precautions you should take while little ones are running around your home. One room in your home that can easily be forgotten is the laundry room. All household products such as dishwasher soaps, deodorants, and laundry packets must be kept out of reach of children. A recent study by the American Cleaning Institute found that 61% of parents are storing laundry packets in sight or in reach of children. If ingested or exposed to the eyes, these products can be harmful. The American Cleaning Institute is reminding parents and caregivers to keep little ones out of harm's way by storing liquid laundry packets up high, out of reach and sight, and in their original container. And remember to keep the package tightly sealed before, during, and after use. To learn more, visit keypledge.com and take the pledge for a safe laundry room and routine. You'll be automatically entered into a sweepstakes to win a laundry room makeover.
Are you ready for the biggest bank heist in history? Well, here it comes, my friend. The Federal Reserve has decided to keep interest rates at zero for the 6th straight year. Trust me, this is economic insanity. You need to read this new report from Craig Smith called The Biggest Bank Heist in History. Just call 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Free for the asking. Please be prepared. Make sure you know how to handle your money, your portfolio, your bank account. This new report is called The Biggest Bank Heist in History. You can get it now.
Thanks, Pat. Call toll-free 800-630-1496. That's 800-630-1496.
Learn how to protect your wealth. The biggest bank heist in history, free.
Call 800-630-1496. 800-630-1496.
Hey, Bill Martinez here, and I want to tell you about something I'd like you to help me with, something that is dear to my heart and I've been personally involved with for quite some time. Over the next couple of months here at Bill Martinez Live, we're going to be partnering with Food for the Poor to literally transform the lives of families in Haiti through food, housing, jobs training, and other life-changing and life-saving initiatives. I'm going to need your help. Food for the Poor has been helping the poorest of the poor for just about 30 years now in 17 Latin American and Caribbean countries and is the largest international relief organization in the U.S. One of the things I love best is 95 cents of every dollar goes directly to the work they're doing to benefit those they're helping. In a day and age when you can't always be sure how your money is being spent, Food for the Poor has the highest rate of efficiency that I'm aware of, bar none. So keep listening. We'll have more information, a link so you can help, and a phone number so you can call to make a difference. Food for the Poor and Bill Martinez Live, changing the world one family at a time.
Bill Martinez Live.
I can't hide, no I can't keep quiet. It's like my heart's on fire, and I can't get over it, can't get control.
Join us online at BillMartinezLive.com.
I'll tell you, we're all over the place, Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 Eastern. Welcome back, America, in over 270 markets, not including, I should say, we're on shortwave via WWCR out of Nashville, Tennessee. Good to have you along with us, and great to have you back. Our conversation continues with Patrick Wood, the author and lecturer who has studied elite globalization policy since the late 70s, as he has been breaking it down for us. This has been going on since the 30s, this technocratic movement. And, Patrick, it is as if we are surrounded by elites that want to find a way to control the body politic, and it is such a systemic issue. What is it going to take to, finally clear this up? You've been talking about this for a while. People see that it is happening. Or are we just so blasé and it just hasn't got bad enough? Or are we just going to be to the point where, at the tipping point, where it's just too late?
Well, people need to exercise their brain. It's an organ, it's a muscle that needs to be used once in a while. They need to exercise their brain and dig down into this situation and figure out what's really going on. It's not impossible. It's not difficult. I want to stress that I'm not anti-technology in any way, personally, and I'm not anti-scientist or anti-engineer. All scientists and all engineers are not technocrats. There's only a few of these scientists and engineers who have taken on their own godlike mantra that they and they alone are able to control society. This is insanity. This is what Adolf Hitler and his crowd did during World War II. We don't want these people controlling, with this attitude, controlling the world and telling the rest of us what to do. And the technocrats were very pointed back in the 1930s about technocracy being a replacement economic system for capitalism and free enterprise. That's what it is at a very basic level. That's why the head of climate change at the United Nations blatantly says that the United Nations is going to replace capitalism and free enterprise with their so-called sustainable economic system of sustainable development. They also call it their green economy. This is social engineering, period. The technocrats, even back in 1938, defined their own movement like this. They said technocracy is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population. That's in a nutshell what these people are trying to do. And I'll tell you what, Americans do not want to throw away capitalism and free enterprise in favor of this crackpot, utopian-based economic system called technocracy. We do not want this. And yet, until people understand it, how can they possibly reject it?
Exactly. Well, and the other thing, too, Patrick, is where's the evidence that this will work, and who wins with technocracy?
Well, the people that win in the end are literally the ideologues at the top, who will be the ones who are the global trustees, if you will, for all of the key physical resources of the world. You talk about oil, you talk about things that are mined out of the earth and so on, that the Bible says that God gave the earth to man. Man is the pinnacle of God's creation. And the earth was given to man. Yes, man has to be a steward of the earth, but the earth is for man. Man is not for the earth.
Exactly.
So in the end of it, what these people are trying to do is turn that formula upside down and say, no, we need to take all the resources of the world away from selfish people. And we need to allocate, we need to dole it out a little bit at a time in a sustainable manner so that we don't run out of resources later on. And there's no proof that this is that there's any validity to this, but it is a view that's completely antithetical to the historic Judeo-Christian view that man was the pinnacle of God's creation. These people just flip it upside down and say, no, man needs to serve creation. Man needs to be the one that is concerned with Mother Earth, in a religious sense almost, must be concerned with Mother Earth to make sure Mother Earth doesn't get so mad at man that she just completely burps them off the planet.
Right, exactly. Well, and then, and in essence, these elites become the new gods.
They do. At the very least, they become a priesthood for this mythical god. In other words, they're the ones that go up the mountain to listen carefully to the oracle to see what the oracle says. And then they come down the mountain and they tell us peons, well, I was up on the mountain and I alone heard what the oracle said, and this is what the oracle said, and this is what you need to do about it, and you better get busy. Well, this kind of priesthood has been seen throughout history where men have set themselves up as some kind of a, having super access to knowledge that nobody else has. And you're expected just to believe them. So the priests themselves are not the gods, but they act on behalf of the gods and get you to do what they want you to do.
Well, and as you say, it starts with, we the people, when we're checking in our brains and being so open-minded that our brains fall out, and we're being manipulated, by these people that have a system, and it's all theory. There's no empirical evidence of anything. It's just the opposite. Every time they get a foothold anywhere, it's a destructive enterprise.
It is, and it has been, and it will continue to be. And, people, including economists and just citizens on the street, scratch their head over why the economy globally is in such horrible, horrible condition. It is in this country, and it is around the world as well. It's so fragile that it's like an eggshell ready just to be crushed. And people look at this and say, well, it shouldn't be this way. What's going on? What they don't realize is there are two economic systems competing in the global space for their very life. Technocracy is battling head on. It's the MME fight of the millennia.
Right.
You have technocracy battling capitalism head on in the global economic space, and one is going to live and one is going to die. That's it. It's a battle to the death. And people wonder why the economic condition of the world is upside down. They can't understand it. This is specifically why. These two systems are even worse than oil and water as far as mixing together. They're corrosive to each other. And until this battle is resolved, and I might say if technocracy comes out on top, we will be very close to what Aldous Huxley called his Brave New World, book written in 1932, a scientific dictatorship.
Amazing. And here we are right there on the precipice of all this. I mean, to the point is what you write in terms of what technocracy will mean in terms of ownership. I mean, already Americans, we the people with a great constitution that we have, truly own very little. The government has put themselves in that position, in that godlike position. So it's kind of a natural, sequence and process for us to move, toward technocracy.
It is. This is the predisposition at this point. And, of course, you have the full weight of the United Nations behind it right now. That was not by accident. The Trilateral Commission gave these policies to the United Nations to spread, and now they've spread it to every corner of the planet.
And what's in it for the United Nations?
Well, the United Nations, again, they're the handlers, or not the handlers, but they're the operators, if you will, that are implementing this policy.
Well, Patrick Wood has been our guest, author and lecturer who has studied elite globalization policy since the late 70s. Patrick, thank you so much. 28 after the top of the hour, America.
From Provident Films comes War Room. The movie that inspired audiences is coming to DVD and Blu-ray in time for Christmas.
This is my favorite place in this house. I call it my war room.
Prayer is a powerful weapon. War Room on DVD and Blu-ray. Available now at Christian retailers.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
Call now, 800-704-6182. 800-704-6182.
This report is brought to you by Zoetis. Zoetis, Inc. announced that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has granted the company a conditional license to market canine influenza vaccine H3N2 killed virus. Canine influenza H3N2 is a severe and highly contagious respiratory disease affecting dogs. This is the first commercially licensed vaccine to help control this disease. The first U.S. cases of CIV-H3N2 were observed in Chicago, Illinois, in March 2015. Since then, there have been reports of the virus in 25 states, and the outbreak continues to spread. Because it can be difficult to diagnose, effective prevention is critical. Dr. John Coyne, Countryside Veterinary Center, Illinois.
We would rather prevent than we would treat. The clinical signs are devastating, and whenever we feel that we can prevent something, well, that's going to be much more preferred rather than treating.
For more information, visit www.dogflufacts.com. This product license is conditional. Efficacy and potency studies are in progress.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Join me live to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. This holiday season, we have several Quantum State supplements on special, perfect as a gift for yourself or loved ones. Support your health during the cold winter season with nucleotides and D3 Gold. Promote your best digestion with our HCL Support Trio. We even have melatonin PG for premier anti-aging and antioxidant support, and the freshest and best quality turmeric in a capsule. All are on special. Buy two, get the third one free. What a deal. Call 800-370-3447 to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's 800-370-3447. This holiday season, give the gift of great health.
Listen to Healthline daily, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific at QNLabs.com.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
What's your name? Bill Martinez.
Just listen.
You've got it.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Welcome back, America. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. This is Bill Martinez. It's always great to have you along with us. Well, what do you think about, what Patrick Wood had to share with us? Pretty scary stuff, but this has been the slow creep of, what's happened across this country. We've got too many people that are just like lemmings, following the way of what these elites are telling us. Because, they say we don't know better. We don't know enough. We're not smart enough. But yet we're told, even with the founding of this country, that we have God-given rights. These are to be exercised. If we don't exercise them, then we allow people to come in like these elites and take control of us, all in the form of this technocracy, this Agenda 21 stuff, the things that are happening, with the United Nations. It's like the wagons are surrounding us, ladies and gentlemen, and the enemy is, forget about them being at the doorstep anymore. They're inside, and they're having a party all at our expense. Well, Bonner Cohen is with us, PhD, Senior Fellow at the National Center for Public Policy Research. And speaking of global warming and these agendas that are flying about, we're going to take a look at what happened in Paris during the GW Summit. Dr. Cohen, welcome back to Bill Martinez. Always good to have you with us. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Well, we've been rather provocative this morning in terms of the conversation and hopefully opening the eyes of Americans across this country to realize, what is being done to us, because while we are sleeping, there are people out there with a rather pernicious agenda, and as they continue to get a stranglehold on our way of life, we're losing our freedoms.
Yes, we certainly are. And you mentioned the agenda of the elites. And let's not forget the green elites, who are among the most powerful, both in terms of the political power that they wield, as well as in terms of the financial clout that they have. And at the recently concluded global warming, which has been rebranded to Climate Change Summit in Paris, an agreement was reached among nearly 200 nations to reduce their levels of greenhouse gases by a certain level by a date certain in the years to come. For the United States, we said that we would, or pledged, and that's the operative word here, to reduce our greenhouse emissions by 26 to 28% below 2005 levels by 2025. Now, for our listeners, there are a couple of things that are really important to understand here. First of all, this is called an agreement. It is not called a treaty. It is, of course, a treaty in all but name. But had the Obama administration gone along with the word treaty, then, of course, as those of us who've studied the Constitution know, it would require a two-thirds vote of approval in the Senate. Well, those two-thirds votes aren't there and never will be there. So what did the Obama administration do? It got a treaty, slapped a new label on it, called it an agreement, and an agreement in and of itself doesn't require Senate or any kind of congressional approval. The second thing, so what a lovely way to circumvent the Constitution. The second thing is the goals that were announced in Paris for all these various countries, rich and poor alike, are non-binding. This agreement contains no enforcement mechanism, meaning that nobody can be forced internationally to do anything. But let's not fool ourselves. The Obama administration will use our commitments that we made, or they made in our name, in Paris to further clamp down on the use of fossil fuels. So, yes, the agreement itself contains no enforcement mechanism and is non-binding. But in order for us to try to reach the goal that they aspired for us, they are going to further clamp down through regulations, executive orders, and other administrative actions, again, completely avoiding the legislative process in order to ensure that the use of fossil fuels in the United States is further reduced to the advantage of the renewable energy industry, a huge supporter of the Obama administration. This is primarily wind and solar. The purpose of which is to level the playing field, not through the marketplace, but through government fiat, so that fossil fuels take an ever larger part, ever smaller part of our energy supplies to be replaced by unaffordable and unreliable and uncompetitive renewable energy.
Okay, that being said, I mean, you've laid this out brilliantly. Okay, we understand the scenario there. So what advantage, to what advantage does that have for, we the people, the common man?
Absolutely none whatsoever, and we were excluded from the process from the very beginning, and that was by design. You used the word elites at the beginning of the segment, and we have to understand that we are being ruled by elites who rule to their own self-benefit. This is a coalition of people who are in government but who may be outside of government. After the end of the Obama administration, which will mercifully be with us in about 13 months, they will then return to what passes for the private sector in certain parts of the country, meaning that they will go to companies that tend to benefit from the decisions made in Paris and made in Washington and made elsewhere. The ordinary American citizen plays absolutely no role in this whatsoever. Self-anointed stewards of the planet are teaming up with companies that are perfectly willing to act as rent seekers, to benefit from whatever decisions government makes as opposed to actually competing in the marketplace. These people combine their considerable heft with environmental groups that have their own agenda on this and their own unique view of the world, again, completely divorced from the American mainstream, to put together what is actually a very potent coalition, one that is everywhere around us. You see it not just in the government in Washington, but depending upon which state you're living in, you will find them ensconced in state governments there and in your local communities. The purpose of their goal is ultimately to tell us how to run our lives. And if you want to run the lives of people in a society, one of the things that you want to do is get control of energy, without which nothing in society, including this radio broadcast, can function at all. Once you control energy, you have huge leverage over the masses, and that's exactly what this is all about.
Yeah, Dr. Cohen, this is a plantation model with 21st century technology. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. It's back to they owning us, a small group of elites, putting themselves in a position to be above the people, turn the Constitution upside down. I mean, they probably just snort at the mere value of the Constitution. And as President Obama, presented to us, saying that, well, the Constitution is elastic. So suddenly now it becomes a rather a document based on perspective and whim, as opposed to something that is well-founded and thought out.
Oh, yes, the contempt for the work of the Founding Fathers here couldn't be greater. They have shoved that aside, and as Fred Smith, the former president of the competitive enterprise here in Washington, once put it tragically and somewhat funnily, hilariously very well, the Constitution may not be perfect, but it's a lot better than what we have now. And under Obama, he has nothing but disdain for the Constitution, and he has shown that repeatedly. And bear in mind that the coming back to the agreement in Paris, just to give our listeners some idea of how these people.
Okay, we got about 10 seconds left here, Dr. Cohen.
Look, the climate change is nothing but the pretext. It's the pretext for these people to seize ever more power over the rest of us.
Exactly. Dr. Bonner Cohen, a senior fellow at the National Center for Public Policy Research. Thank you, Dr. Cohen. 18 before the top of the hour.
This report is brought to you by Blackhawk Network. This holiday season, shoppers can purchase gift cards for stock at select U.S. retailers. This new prepaid gift card, made possible by Stockpile and Blackhawk Network, can be redeemed online to open and fund a brokerage account with stock. Investing in the stock market can be confusing. Gift cards for stock are an easier way for people of all ages to get involved with investing, and will appeal to people who want to give something more meaningful than a traditional toy this year. Terry Jack, Chief Marketing Officer, Blackhawk Network.
The gift card for stock can revolutionize the way people access the stock market. Giving someone a gift card to purchase shares of their favorite brand can be enriching and an educational experience for both the gift giver and receiver. After all the other holiday gifts are outgrown or overused, gift cards for stock could be one of those standout gifts that keeps on giving beyond the holidays.
For more information, visit stockpile.com. That's www.stockpile.com. I'm Malcolm Heaver. This report is brought to you by Pfizer. If symptoms of a health issue slow you down, you're not alone. Your employer feels it too. According to a recent report by the Institute for Health and Productivity Management and Pfizer Inc., a survey of 35 employers revealed that conditions like allergies, low back pain, and heartburn cost employers millions each year. One corporation reported $3.25 million lost annually in worker productivity because of these ailments. Other studies confirm that health issues result in significant costs to businesses, as impacted workers are often absent and less productive. However, help can come through access to over-the-counter medicines, or OTCs. Studies estimate that every $1 spent on OTCs saved the U.S. healthcare system $6 to $7 by reducing physician visits and medical expenses. Broad access to OTCs for the self-care of common ailments can help people find faster symptom relief, produce cost savings, and prevent lost productivity. Learn more about OTCs as a resource for self-care and wellness at ihpm.org.
Pat Boone here. Would you invest your life savings in a stock or bond, knowing it returns zero reward while also putting your money at serious risk? Well, according to Don't Bank on It, your bank account is worse than this. It's a high-risk investment. In fact, most depositors end up with a negative return after subtracting real-world inflation. Today, your bank deposits are in danger from 20 major risks, from cyber criminals, money-hungry politicians, and too-big-to-fail bankers. So don't bank on it. The unsafe world of 21st century banking shows you how to save your savings and create a financial future you can bank on. Call now for a free copy of Don't Bank on It.
Thanks, Pat. Call toll-free 800-630-1496. That's 800-630-1496.
Call now for a free copy of Don't Bank on It.
800-630-1496.
Hey, Bill Martinez here, and I want to tell you about something I'd like you to help me with, something that is dear to my heart and I've been personally involved with for quite some time. Over the next couple of months here at Bill Martinez Live, we're going to be partnering with Food for the Poor to literally transform the lives of families in Haiti through food, housing, jobs training, and other life-changing and life-saving initiatives. I'm going to need your help. Food for the Poor has been helping the poorest of the poor for just about 30 years now in 17 Latin American and Caribbean countries and is the largest international relief organization in the U.S. One of the things I love best is 95 cents of every dollar goes directly to the work they're doing to benefit those they're helping. In a day and age when you can't always be sure how your money is being spent, Food for the Poor has the highest rate of efficiency that I'm aware of, bar none. So keep listening. We'll have more information, a link so you can help, and a phone number so you can call to make a difference. Food for the Poor and Bill Martinez Live, changing the world one family at a time.
Hooray for Hollywood!
Across the country, on your smartphone, and around the world, you've tuned in to Bill Martinez Live.
Hooray for Hollywood! That phony, super coney Hollywood. They come from Chillicothe and Paducah with their bazookas to get their names up in lights. Hooray for Hollywood!
This is Bill Martinez Live.
Hey, welcome back, America. 13 before the top of the hour. Have you been to Chillicothe lately, Steve-O? It's quite the place, isn't it?
Well, I would suppose. I haven't been there lately, so but I'll let you know when I'm on my way.
Well, we need to go there. I mean, maybe go do a burger or something, just to check it out. Why not, huh?
Well, yeah, I'm up for it. Sure, yeah, road trip.
Hey, let's do it. 13 before the top of the hour. This is Bill Martinez. We got Steve, the movie guy, and I'll tell you, Star Wars buzz abounds. The fastest movie to $1 billion, and who would have thunk? I mean, they were singing the blues to begin with, saying, well, we're just not too sure, this may not work. I mean, this thing is just hang on, you got a tiger by the tail here.
Well, I think so. I think at this point we can say yes, it works. We could probably spend this entire segment talking about the records that Star Wars has broken. It's unlike any other movie in history, really. It's did another 149 million in this country alone last weekend. And as you were saying, it's broken over $1 billion worldwide, did that in record time. So, You know, I think as a citizen of the world, everybody needs to go see Star Wars. You have seen it. I'm going to see it this weekend because I want to begin 2016 with the Force. I want the Force with me as I venture into the new world. But it's out there. I want to see if you haven't seen it. Daddy's Home.
It's a great blend, Steve. I got to tell you, it's a great blend of the old and new. The way they were able to, work in the characters and the storyline and that, and obviously there was pent up hunger for some family entertainment. Couple of scenes there that are a little bit iffy, on the family side. But other than that, I think well done.
Well, J.J. Abrams was the director they chose for the project. He obviously was the right choice. He's a huge Star Wars fan, and as you were saying, you do see Han Solo, and you do see, Princess Leia, and all these these characters returning, which real dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fans want to see. I mean, it's been a long time since they've been up there on the screen, and then, of course, it launches into a new story, and I think it's safe to say we're going to be seeing Star Wars movies for years to come. This isn't over yet.
Talk about a franchise, not to mention, Steve, you and I just want the merchandising license on this thing.
Anything. The popcorn sales, anything.
Unbelievable.
It is just unbelievable, which goes to show you that if you come up with the right story, the right movie, people are going to go pay to see it. I mean, the movies certainly aren't dead. And the other thing that Star Wars has done, it has propelled the overall box office in 2016 to record heights.
We talked to James Herson about that, about the rising tide of all the boats. They're all being lifted by the amount of money that's being spent at the box office this past weekend.
Right, and in this country alone, the box office has made over $1 billion, and that's never happened before. I mean, $11 billion, which has never happened before. So it's good times at the local multiplex. Daddy's Home did well last week. I want to mention that quickly. It was a movie which didn't get great reviews. Stars Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, did about 38. Joy also did well, making 17. Rounding out the top 5, we have Sisters and Alvin and the Chipmunks still hanging in there. Now, there's only one major release this weekend. I'm going to mention it even though it's a limited release, only in New York and L.A., so everybody else is going to have to wait a while to see it. However, it's going to be a big, important movie at awards time, I think, and it's called Anomalisa. It's a stop-motion adult animated comedy drama, which is directed and written by Charlie Kaufman, which is a name which you may not recognize, but he is one of the most creative screenwriters in Hollywood. He's the guy that wrote Being John Malkovich, if you remember that years ago, Adaptation, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is an animated film, Anomalisa, and this is about a guy who is really crippled by the mundane aspects of his life, and then he has an experience which is truly out of the ordinary. A man struggling with his inability to connect with other people, and suddenly he does. It is an adult, it's rated R, and this is kind of for language and adult themes and nudity, stop-motion nudity. So I guess these little puppets are running around without their little clothes on in this one.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. But it's out there this weekend. 97% are recommending. And then this is a good time to catch up, right? What haven't you seen that you want to see over the weekend?
Well, I did. I took my granddaughter out, by the way, to see The Good Dragon. That was good fun. And we went into one of these theaters out in the desert, where they have the very comfortable seats that lay back. And oh my goodness, it was excellent. And I didn't experience the one where I guess you can go to the ones that serve you dinner as well.
Yes, you can these days, in case you get hungry for something more than popcorn. But the Good Dinosaur, I think, is a better movie than people might have been led to believe. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and of course, it's fun to be able to, you take your granddaughter, Ava's 6 years old, and we just had a great time. It was it was a granddad and granddaughter date night, and I told her, I said, a long time ago when my daughter was 2 years old, a friend of mine at church had recommended that I start dating my daughter. I thought, well, that's kind of novel, let's do that. And the idea was to give her an idea of how to, what to expect on a date and what she should expect from the men that would come calling on her down the road. And so we set up that type of program. But the thing that was ironic, because at the time, here I have one daughter, I've got 4 boys, And I'm doing this with Marissa, who, by the way, I don't know if I told you or not, but Christmas Day she announced that she is with child.
Oh,
so
wow!
That'll be our ninth grandchild. News. Yeah, from Maui. I mean, it was so touching. That's it really touched my heart. In fact, I was very surprised. I mean, I'm still. I still get teary about this deal. How, there's just something about your daughter. So anyway, we went through a dating experience with my daughter, and it was really cool. But then the boy said, "Hey, Dad, what about us?" So it was neat. So I explained that to my granddaughter that was the process. So this is going to have to be something. And I know I've got a couple other granddaughters that are going to say, "Hey, Grandpa, okay, you did it with Ava. Let's go. I'm next in line. Let's make this happen."
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Well, that's what the holidays are all about. You should have a chance to kind of kick back and do things like that.
But in answer to your question, I want to see Creed. That has been on the list. I just have, I'm going to make some time, hopefully this weekend. The Big Short as well,
right,
has also got my attention. So those are two on the list right off the bat.
Which are still in the theaters. Big Short, I saw that. That's a terrific film. Of course, great cast: Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, about the guys who bet against the stock market back in 2008.
And they're saying great things about Carell, that he just did an outstanding job. This, they're talking, nomination quality type of showing here.
Right, and of course, this is the time of year when the studios release what they call Oscar bait, which are the movies that they think might be qualifying for the Oscars. We have this one called The Revenant, also, obviously not one for the kids, a brutal, violent film which is directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, who did Birdman last year. This, they think, might be an Oscar nomination for Leonardo DiCaprio. It's about Hugh Glass, the hunting party. They're attacked by Indians. Glass then is attacked by a grizzly. His hunting partner wants to leave him for dead and does. Glass survives, comes back for revenge. The Revenant is a person who returns as a spirit or a ghost after death. Exactly. That one's getting a lot of good reviews.
Well, Concussion's doing, it's getting a lot of conversation as well, right?
Well, and also Will Smith, they're talking about maybe an Oscar nomination for him as well. It's an important story, and it's about the pathologist, Dr. Bennett Omalu, who uncovers the truth about brain damage in football players who suffer repeated concussions in the course of normal play. He's the guy who discovered chronic traumatic encephalopathy in football, and 60% of the critics are recommending that one. Kind of, if you remember The Insider with Russell Crowe years ago, this is kind of along that lines as well.
Well, it's been an interesting year for Will Smith. I mean, he started out the year not so good. I mean, he's been running into a couple of stinkos in a row there, and so now for him to have a movie that's gaining some traction, maybe this might revive him a little bit, huh? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a nomination. I just think that it will be for him, and like you say, it could mean a turning point in his career for the better. Also, we have The Hateful Eight out there. That's the Quentin Tarantino film getting good reviews. This is a Western murder mystery. Great cast. We have Jennifer Jason Leigh, Kurt Russell, Channing Tatum, and Samuel L. Jackson. This is about a bunch of bounty hunters who try to find shelter during a blizzard but get involved in a plot of betrayal and deception. Good cast. It's a Western murder mystery, if you want to look at it that way. Quentin Tarantino, so it means it's pretty violent, but it's getting good reviews. One critic, however, said it's about a 1-hour story stretched over 3. You might keep that in mind. Yeah. But everybody else seems to think it's great. And then Joy. This is one I'm going to see this weekend. We have David O. Russell that is reuniting the crew with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert De Niro, Bradley Cooper, Virginia Madsen, about Joy Mangano, who invented the Miracle Mop, which became this QVC hit in the 1990s and completely changes her life. She's a woman, a single mother who's having her trials and tribulations. She has this bolt of creative energy, and when she's cleaning up some broken glass, invents the Miracle Mop, and the rest is history. What would be your favorite movies of 2015 before we run out of time?
Right before we go, wow. Well, help me out here. My brain is
well, it's a long list. It's been a great year at the movies, but of course we love The Martians. Martian. We talked about that.
Right.
Big Short, also a great movie. Bridge of Spies, which was Tom Hanks.
I liked Bridge of Spies. It was really well done.
Ex Machina, Trumbo, Jurassic World, also big movie this year, which was really well done. And, of course, this is the New Year's weekend, a great time to catch up, and I want to wish you and yours a happy New Year and a great 2016.
And let's keep it safe out there, right, Steve-O?
Absolutely.
Hey, look, we'll see you at the Multiplex. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe, and we'll see you next year, buddy, okay? This is Bill Martinez, 2 minutes before the top of the hour.
Experience the romantic getaway you deserve at Maui's premier bed and breakfast, the Plantation Inn. With plantation-style architecture and decor combined with modern amenities such as dual rain showers and whirlpool hot tubs, guests relax in a tranquil oasis in the heart of Maui's historic Lahaina town. The inn is situated conveniently less than 2 blocks from Lahaina Harbor, as well as the famous French Street, known for its range of shops, restaurants, gallery walks, and museums. The Plantation Inn is home to Gerard's Restaurant, voted Open Table's top most romantic restaurants in North America. Chef Gerard's contemporary island French cuisine consistently earns some of the highest ratings in Hawaii. Come discover why Hawaii Magazine readers named the Plantation Inn #1 best bed and breakfast in Hawaii. Visit theplantationinn.com or call us at 667-9225.
The radio channel. The radio channel. CRN.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew. Officials in Missouri have now closed a major interstate south of St. Louis as floodwaters continue to rise. Missouri Department of Transportation engineer Karen Yeoman says crews are working to reduce the flooding along the Merrimack River.
In that area, we have been able to sandbag and we're pumping water out. But unfortunately, we're still getting water over the roadway. It has helped a lot, but we've still had up to 8 to 10 inches of water on the roadway overnight.
Interstate 55, that is near the town of Arnold, was completely shut down because of floodwaters from the Merrimack River, which eventually flows into the mighty Mississippi. It's 2016 already in Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere as partygoers have ushered in the new year. In New York City, they're still preparing for the celebration, where about 1 million people are expected to gather on Times Square tonight. Some 6,000 police will be on duty. In Las Vegas, people being told to leave their bags, backpacks, and strollers at home as police get ready for hundreds of thousands of partiers to flood the Las Vegas Strip to usher in the new year. The U.S. is said to be preparing new sanctions now against Iran over its ballistic missile program. We get more from correspondent Wally Hines.
First word of the sanctions comes after the U.S. accused Iran of provocation for test-firing rockets near a U.S. warship in the Strait of Hormuz earlier this week. The U.S. says several unguided Iranian rockets came less than a mile from the USS Harry Truman and other coalition warships in the narrow waterway this week. The Treasury Department said to be preparing sanctions against individuals and companies involved in Iran's ballistic missile program.
That's correspondent Wally Hines. Bill Cosby's attorney says the comedian was charged with a decade-old sex crime simply because the prosecutor was fulfilling a campaign promise. Speaking on NBC's Today Show, Monica Presley said that Cosby has been unjustly accused. More of these stories from townhall.com.
I'm feverish and stuffy, but I still see you checking out my sweet cough cloud. See, when I cough, I make a cloud of 3,000 droplets of saliva. Impressive, no?
No.
But your eyes say yes.
Cough clouds are sick. Take new Robitussin CF Max Severe. It delivers powerful relief of cough, sore throat, stuffy nose, and fever. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough. Use as directed.
Do you have a family member who's getting older and can no longer be safely left alone? With Visiting Angels America's Choice in Senior Home Care, your parents and older family members can continue living at home and not have to move into a nursing home. Experienced, compassionate caregivers provide assistance in hygiene, meal preparation, and light housework up to 24 hours per day at affordable rates. To restore your family's peace of mind, call Visiting Angels toll-free today at 877-374-LIVE or at visitingangels.com.
He finds himself stuck south of the U.S. border now. Convicted teen drunken driver Ethan Couch, who allegedly flouted his 10-year probation by escaping to Mexico with his mom, remains there for now.
The amparo, or injunction, issued by a Mexican attorney for 18-year-old Ethan Couch didn't cover his mother, Tonya, who'd fled with him, so she's already deported to Texas. He has a 3-day stay while a Mexican judge decides if he follows. Both were arrested in the vacation resort of Puerto Vallarta on Monday. Ethan is still being held at the Immigration Institute in Guadalajara. Mother and son fled the U.S. after a video allegedly showing him drinking beer. If proved, that violation could transform 10 years of probation into equivalent jail time. James Bliss in Mexico reporting.
It's been fluctuating for the major indexes on Wall Street in early trading right now. It's a Dow Jones Industrial Average off by just about 90 points. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. About 20 passengers on an Air Canada flight were injured by severe turbulence. Reporter Jackie Quinn has more.
It happened on an Air Canada Boeing 777 bound for Toronto from Shanghai. An airline spokeswoman says after passengers were tossed about because of heavy turbulence, the plane was diverted to Calgary International Airport, where ambulances and first responders were waiting. Airport security officers were seen escorting patients on stretchers. Emergency crews took about 20 people to the hospital. I'm Jackie Quinn.
More Americans requested unemployment benefits last week, but the level remains near historic lows. Labor Department says applications for jobless aid jumped 20,000. The less volatile four-week average climbed 4,500. Despite the increased jobless claims, stayed below the key level of 300,000 now for nearly 10 months. More on these stories from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew.
When you're really looking forward to an outstanding holiday office party, you've got to contact Columbo's. Why? Well, if ever there were a time for good times, that time is now. 323-254-9138. 323-254-9138. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club. Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. Columbo's. Easy, delicious, affordable, great Italian specialties, mouth-watering steaks, the freshest fish, world-famous meatballs, and jazz every night. Big or not so big budget, it doesn't matter. Columbo's is LA's #1 people-pleasing destination. They do it right. It's friendly and festive, never fawning. Don't get left out. Call Columbo's now. 323-254-9138. Because when you're really looking forward to an outstanding holiday office party, you've got to contact Columbo's. Columbo's. Buon Natale. Mangia.
Getting America back on track. Bill Martinez live.
I'll tell you, America, if we're going to get back on track, we need to understand what on track looks like. We have about 7 out of 10 of us say, look, we're on the wrong track. I say that's good news. Okay, now what does being on the right track look like? If it's anything that looks like our Constitution, I'm right with you. If it's more of the same and just some different faces, then that's what we call insanity, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. But hey, look, it's up to us. It's up to we the people. It's got to be a groundswell kind of movement. The elites have taken control of our society, our way of life, and as we have been talking, in this last hour, particularly with Patrick Wood and Dr. Bonner Cohen, look at. They're not at the doorstep. They're no longer satisfied to be at the doorstep with with these different policies that they've been able to employ, and this strategy to circumvent our legislative body and our U.S. Constitution by executive fiat. We are losing our rights and our ownership to everything. But hey, look, we've got to strike back. If we don't, and we don't take back this country, then what are we handing over to to the next generation? Well, Sarah Westwood is with us right now. It's always good to have her with us, a watchdog reporter for the Washington Examiner. Happy New Year, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to have you here. In your column, you talk about the 15 biggest scandals of 2015. And, of course, here in the last couple of days, we've got more emails being dumped from Hillary, and you've been following that and bird-dogging that as well. And, of course, the email scandals, just one of 15 of the biggest of this past year. I mean, scandals have abounded this past year, haven't they?
They have. It's been a busy year for wasting money for scandals.
Well, let's talk about the first scandal. And not did you when you listed it? Did you list it based on its impact, or was it in no necessary particular order here, other than these are the 15 biggest?
They're in chronological order. So this
Right.
is kind of the first one that hit in the new year when Governor Kitzhaber resigned from the governorship in February.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right, go ahead.
Well, what happened was his fiancée, Sylvia Hayes, was running a consulting firm while she was acting as an informal advisor to the governor. And she is a well-known environmental activist. She was using her access to Governor Kitzhaber's administration to advocate on behalf of her environmental clients. And a lot of Oregonians saw that and witnessed the fact that, perhaps he was allowing her to run roughshod over his administration and forced him out because of that. And, there was an ensuing and still open criminal investigation into allegations of corruption.
Amazing that the green energy folks strike again. They probably think, well, look, we're been able to act with impunity, so, why should that stop us, right?
Exactly. But Governor Kitzhaber, was not able to hold on to his seat in the face of that. And Governor Kate Brown, who succeeded him, has actually faced some of the same questions about her ties to green energy groups and their influence on Oregon state politics.
Okay, number two, we've got just a little bit of time here, so we're going to have to run through these pretty quick, or at least maybe focus on the major ones. There's 15, and we can direct everybody to the Washington Examiner to read the full article that we'll have linked on our website at BillMartinezLive.com. Let's talk about two of we've got about 30 seconds or so, maybe a little bit longer, it just depends. But we have a short amount of time left to talk about some of the biggest scandals of 2015.
Exactly. Obviously the biggest one in my mind, and I think in most people's minds, is the Hillary Clinton email scandal, not only because the interest in it was so intense when this first came out in March, but because it was so sustained. At the end of every month since May, we've seen a batch of emails be published online by the State Department. We've seen new details about where she kept the server and what company she contracted to administer the server and so on emerge sort of in a dropping fashion. And so that has caused that scandal to sort of eclipse all the other ones in terms of what was the worst of the year.
Well, again, we'll have the article linked on our website. Sarah Westwood, watchdog reporter for the Washington Examiner. Thank you, Sarah. Happy New Year to you. Rudy Takala is with us. He's also another watchdog reporter and colleague with Sarah Westwood at the Washington Examiner. Rudy, Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, good. Your article about, this was something that was bubbling up about the House now investigating allegations that the NSA spied on Congress. What happened here?
Well, the Wall Street Journal reported a couple of days that during nuclear negotiations, the Obama administration authorized spying on key Israeli officials, and obviously that swept up a number of members of Congress. We don't know exactly how many, who they may have been yet, but the House Oversight Committee has demanded that officials testify within the next couple of weeks about the extent of what took place. And this is especially notable because in 2014, then NSA Chief Keith Alexander was asked if his agency took any measures to spy on members of Congress. Mm-hmm. And incidentally, he was asked by Bernie Sanders, who's now running for president, and he responded that they didn't do that. So this is in contravention to what they've said in the past. If this turns out to be true, it's going to be the second time within a couple of years that the NSA has been caught lying to members of Congress.
What is it? If you cross your fingers when you go in and talk to Congress, you can say anything you want?
That does seem to be the attitude with some people in the intelligence community, or at least within the NSA itself. And sometimes there might be They might have legal standing in some circumstances because of the nature of classified information or it can be divulged publicly. But at some point you need to come forward with this information to Congress before you get caught in a lie. That's when it becomes a problem. And one chairman of the House Intelligence Committee even pointed out that there may be aspects to this that were illegal, which is going to make it especially problematic for the Obama administration if that turns out to be the case.
Well, this is like just another one of those stories in the naked city. Is there enough there to pass the so what test? Because, like as you say, this is not the first time that they've lied. There is this culture of deception that is running rampant and deep within the confines of our body politic. Not so much the body politic as much as it is the elite class that is leading the way here.
Yeah, that is very true. And as long as you have the people who did this in power, you might have a hard time prosecuting it. The Department of Justice may not be very inclined to take action. That's very true. But will it affect the mood going forward as we get closer to the 2016 election? I think that's another critical question. And if Americans decide that they're sick of the lies, they may vote accordingly, and that could have an impact.
Well, this thing seems to be, Rudy, and I don't mean to be, so negative about this, and it just seems that the system is so well established in the bureaucracy to promote this kind of incompetence and deception. I don't know what it's going to take to, clean the, as Nancy Pelosi talked about, draining the swamp. Another article here, we got about 30 seconds left, that you wrote about is the feds ringing in 2016 buried in debt. Our share now $58,000 per person. That's whether you're a giver or a taker. That's the responsibility. But hey, look at if you're a taker, then that doesn't matter much. But if you're a giver, you can probably double that figure, right?
Yeah, if you actually are working, then you actually owe $125,000. We're right about there.
Why not? Hey, what does it matter? That comes out of our penny loafers, right? Rudy Takala from the Washington Examiner.
This report is brought to you by Shriners Hospitals for Children. The U.S. Fire Administration reports more home fires during the holiday months than any other time of the year. Home fires and deaths increase significantly with more cooking, decorations, and open flames. And the biggest fire risk of all could be your Christmas tree. Shriners Hospitals for Children and actor Joe Minoso of NBC's Chicago Fire offer simple steps to keep families safe from fires and burn injuries with the Be Burn Aware PSA series. Joe Minoso.
During the holidays, hundreds of kids are taken to the ER with severe burns. That's why I'm working with Shriners Hospitals for Children to remind you to be burn aware this holiday season.
Simple steps like watering your tree daily and discarding the tree once it becomes dry can significantly reduce the risk of house fires and burn injuries. Additional tips include making sure your tree is at least 3 feet from heat sources and never leaving lit candles unattended. Learn more at BeBurnAware.org.
The holidays are an enjoyable time of year, but amid all the hustle and bustle, it's important to remember there are various safety precautions you should take while little ones are running around your home. One room in your home that can easily be forgotten is the laundry room. All household products such as dishwasher soaps, deodorants, and laundry packets must be kept out of reach of children. A recent study by the American Cleaning Institute found that 61% of parents are storing laundry packets in sight or in reach of children. If ingested or exposed to the eyes, these products can be harmful. The American Cleaning Institute is reminding parents and caregivers to keep little ones out of harm's way by storing liquid laundry packets up high, out of reach and sight, and in their original container. And remember to keep the package tightly sealed before, during, and after use. To learn more, visit keypledge.com and take the pledge for a safe laundry room and routine. You'll be automatically entered into a sweepstakes to win a laundry room makeover.
Are you ready for the biggest bank heist in history? Well, here it comes, my friend. The Federal Reserve has decided to keep interest rates at zero for the 6th straight year. Trust me, this is economic insanity. You need to read this new report from Craig Smith called The Biggest Bank Heist in History. Just call 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, free for the asking. Please be prepared. Make sure you know how to handle your money, your portfolio, your bank account. This new report is called The Biggest Bank Heist in History. You can get it now.
Thanks, Pat. Call toll-free 800-630-1496. That's 800-630-1496.
Learn how to protect your wealth. The biggest bank heist in history, free.
Call 800-630-1496. 800-630-1496.
Hey, Bill Martinez here, and I want to tell you about something I'd like you to help me with, something that is dear to my heart and I've been personally involved with for quite some time. Over the next couple of months here at Bill Martinez Live, we're going to be partnering with Food for the Poor to literally transform the lives of families in Haiti through food, housing, jobs training, and other life-changing and life-saving initiatives. I'm going to need your help. Food for the Poor has been helping the poorest of the poor for just about 30 years now in 17 Latin American and Caribbean countries and is the largest international relief organization in the U.S. One of the things I love best is 95 cents of every dollar goes directly to the work they're doing to benefit those they're helping. In a day and age when you can't always be sure how your money is being spent, Food for the Poor has the highest rate of efficiency that I'm aware of, bar none. So keep listening. We'll have more information, a link so you can help, and a phone number so you can call to make a difference. Food for the Poor and Bill Martinez Live, changing the world one family at a time.
Bill Martinez Live. You gotta shake, 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 like that shake, shake, shake. Brand new looks so good on you, so shake like you've been shake. Come on, shake, shake. Join us online at BillMartinezLive.com.
Welcome back, America. 20 minutes after the top of the hour. I'm Bill Martinez. For more information on the show, go to BillMartinezLive.com. We're holding steady here. We had planned to have Carl Pittman on with us. He's a member of the Black Leadership Group, Project 21, criminal investigator for the Harris County Sheriff's Office, former Marine like yours truly. And so we're on standby, doing our best to get a hold of Carl. I mean, it's the holiday time. I mean, it's just the nature of the time of the season and schedules and difficulty. And I've had one of these mornings. I don't know if this has happened to you, but suddenly one of my, one of my software documents, is just going blotto on me. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's celebrating New Year's a little bit early here, Paul. I don't know. I just cannot seem to get this thing working. For those of you that deal with Apple products, I have the Word document, and all of a sudden it's just hanging up. It just will not come to life here. So we've kind of been having fun. The one thing about doing a show like this is there's lots of information that comes in, and you have to be able to process it, whether it has to do about a book, background with these guests and that sort of thing. I'm pulling you behind the curtain here so you can kind of see some of the stuff that we do. Not that you'll feel sorry for me, but only that you can appreciate the predicament that I'm in, which is no different than probably what you deal with on a daily basis on your job too, because we've become so reliant on this technology, and everything is all put into a system, and when that system hangs up, you go, okay, do we go back to what my old boss used to rely on, and that was a number 2 Ticonderoga pencil and a legal pad, and sometimes it makes you wonder if that's what you should do. But anyways, we remain on standby here for Carl Pittman. The story he has to tell about is quite a hoopla happening there in Texas. The title of it is Betrayed by the Badge, the Scott Claiborne and Constable Ron Hickman story. Kind of amazing. Again, it's crony capitalism. It's people in power, acting above the law and taking advantage of their position. A little bit of what Sarah Westwood was talking about in terms of the scandals that happened in America, happened in 2015. And the thing is, this is foundational. If we're going to get this country back on track, we need to be honest. We need to deal with the truth of the matter. I've often said that if we knew the truth, not only would we be set free, but we wouldn't be bogged down in these buckets of gum that we continually find ourselves in. And meanwhile, you look at the results of this deception. $18.8 trillion in debt. Rudy Tacala reported from the Washington Examiner. I mean,
$58,000 is our share now going into 2016. Happy New Year. I mean, this is our share of the debt. And that's just assuming that everybody in America participates in paying that debt. Well, that's not the case. That, half of the country, roughly, in rough numbers, is not taking on that responsibility. Some because they're retired and they've earned it, and that's fine. Some because they say, hey, look why should I participate? What's the hope? And I think that is the disaster that's happening in America today, is that, what we've been reporting on this morning particularly is the game is being rigged against us. You have these elites that talk about, let's have a level playing field, and you hear President Barack Obama in his gifted oratory, and it sounds so convincing and right on. But, at the end of the day, you got to pull back the curtain and say, well, is the king wearing clothes here or what? Or is he just buck naked and we've bought into a bill of goods after 8 years? And that's why I'm saying that I believe that once this president leaves office, watch what happens. People are going to start, well, I told you this was the case. I told you he didn't have a legitimate birth certificate. I told you that he couldn't be vetted. He didn't have a Social Security number that made sense. And, both he and Michelle and all this. And they go, oh, Lord. I mean, but this is what the elites have done to us. This is how the mainstream media has abandoned, their duty to the American public. And they've left us hanging. And we've been misinformed. I mean, we are the proverbial mushroom, ladies and gentlemen. But, if we don't want to say anything about it and we just, stay the course, again, to me, what is the greater disaster is what is this going to mean for our children and grandchildren? How do you come, as this generation who is the closest to what we all agree was the greatest generation of our time, our parents, what got lost in translation from that great generation to our generation to the generation that's coming up next? The founding principles of this country have been abandoned. And it's heartbreaking. I got to tell you, when I look at the Constitution and I study the founding fathers, I mean, if this was not governed by the hand of Providence, I don't know what was. But yet, in our own audacity and arrogance, people will sit there and say, "Hey, look at it! Doesn't it's flexible? What did they know? Are you kidding me?" I mean, the document is absolutely brilliant, and the more we miss the mark, I mean, that is our map, and we've thrown the map out the window because some elites up in their ivory towers who know better. They say, oh, well, all in the name of, good stewardship. I mean, it all sounds like good rhetoric, but here it is. I mean, God has given us the resources so that we would, dare I say, be fruitful and multiply, and all that means. It's more than reproduction. It's about the success of our humanity and the success of our own psychology, because written into our very DNA is the desire to be productive. None of us wants to, as my old boss used to say, back into the pay window with some sense of embarrassment that we didn't deserve our pay, that a good day's work deserved a good wage, that we could walk to the pay window, face it forward, shoulders back, and say, look, we've contributed. I've contributed, and I deserve this wage. This is what is at the very basic driving force of our humanity, is for us to be productive. And when I stop and think about the dreams that have been eradicated and stifled as a result of this rather pernicious, idea of utopian leadership, this social engineering that has taken place, and they admit it. But, look at, if we the people, which is what this country, again, this is why I stress the three most dangerous words. The elites do not want you to know, understand, and apprehend. Because when you understand that they serve at our behest, not the other way around, they lose standing. And they deserve to lose standing. They're operating in the theoretical. We have a proven enterprise. We have a proven track record, and we've chosen to abandon that. And You may say, well, why? Because we've been lied to, we've been deceived, and there are so many complicit in this. This is why it galls me. I believe the mainstream media has been complicit in this. They've abandoned their responsibility to we the people and to the public at large, and this is why they're losing circulation and they're becoming irrelevant. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to find the facts. We've got to find the truth wherever we can find it if we're going to get this country back on track. This is Bill Martinez. It's 28 minutes after the top of the hour. We've got more coming up. Stay with us.
From Provident Films comes War Room. The movie that inspired audiences is coming to DVD and Blu-ray in time for Christmas.
This is my favorite place in this house. I call it my war room.
Prayer is a powerful weapon. War Room on DVD and Blu-ray. Available now at Christian retailers.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
Call now, 800-704-6182. 800-704-6182.
This report is brought to you by Zoetis. Zoetis, Inc. announced that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has granted the company a conditional license to market canine influenza vaccine H3N2 killed virus. Canine influenza H3N2 is a severe and highly contagious respiratory disease affecting dogs. This is the first commercially licensed vaccine to help control this disease. The first U.S. cases of CIV-H3N2 were observed in Chicago, Illinois, in March 2015. Since then, there have been reports of the virus in 25 states, and the outbreak continues to spread. Because it can be difficult to diagnose, effective prevention is critical. Dr. John Coyne, Countryside Veterinary Center, Illinois.
We would rather prevent than we would treat. The clinical signs are devastating, and whenever we feel that we can prevent something, well, that's going to be much more preferred rather than treating.
For more information, visit www.dogflufacts.com. This product license is conditional. Efficacy and potency studies are in progress.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, Ph.D., host of Healthline. Join me live to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. This holiday season, we have several Quantum State supplements on special, perfect as a gift for yourself or loved ones. Support your health during the cold winter season with nucleotides and D3 Gold. Promote your best digestion with our HCL Support Trio. We even have melatonin PG for premier anti-aging and antioxidant support, and the freshest and best quality turmeric in a capsule. All are on special. Buy two, get the third one free. What a deal. Call 800-370-3447 to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's 800-370-3447. This holiday season, give the gift of great health.
Listen to Healthline daily, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific at QNLabs.com.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
3, 2, 1.
Attention! Attention!
You're listening to Bill Martinez.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Welcome back, America. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. I am Bill Martinez. Get involved in the conversation. Let us know your thoughts, okay? It's not like I'm, preaching here from the Crystal Cathedral, laying down the dictum. I mean, you see what's happening. You're living in the situation as well. But look at it. If 2016 is going to be different than 2015, we've got to take action, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to do it together. Grassroots movement from the top, not top down. That's what got us into this mess. It's got to be bottom up. Brian Abrams is with us. He's the author of the best-selling Kindle single And Now, An Oral History of the Late Night with David Letterman from 1982 to 1993. Critically acclaimed acclaimed Gawker in oral history. He has also been called the Ken Burns of presidential alcoholism. His first book, Party Like a President, True Tales of Inebriation, Lechery, and Mischief from the Oval Office. Are you shocked and amazed? Brian Abrams, welcome to Bill Martinez Live. How are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for the introduction. Plugging all
how
my
much
work
fun,
there.
Well, how much fun have you been having?
This week I've been cleaning litter boxes and trying to antagonize Star Wars fans online. So, I mean, that's fun for some, but I don't know if it's like the picture that you wanted me to give you.
Well, no, hey, Brian, I need I need ideas here, and I know that I like your bent. Some might call it a bent perspective, because sometimes I have a tendency to be, a little bit stiff and too conservative at times. So I appreciate and live vicariously through people such as yourself that look at life from a little different perspective. I think it's a fresh and enjoyable one.
Thank you. Well, I recommend to be in bed by 11 tonight. I think that's my contrarian
same thing, right?
Stance to New Year's Eve. Yeah, I think we can pass on this night. Skip it. That's just me.
Yeah, and the other thing too. I mean, I've been hearing all over, the warnings of people, firing guns up in the air. I mean, you almost. I mean, not that you want anybody to be injured. I mean, it's so ridiculous. But people would stop doing this if the bullets somehow magically would just come back and land near them. I'm not saying land on top of them, but it's just like, wait a minute, don't you realize what goes up comes down? And you're firing guns up. I'm in California these days, and there's warnings all over the place because there are pockets of communities that somehow think that it's okay for them to get their guns and just fire up in the air, like somehow the atmospheric god is just going to grab the bullets and say, well, Happy New Year, and turn it into a firework or something. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if we want to go down that road. I mean, guns are pretty easy to get, so they get in the hands of a lot of people who maybe don't make the best decisions. I mean, that was our call. That was Congress's call. So.
Exactly. Well, I'm a Second Amendment guy. I'm for responsible gun ownership. This is a demonstration of irresponsible gun ownership when this takes place. But some neighbors, just like what happened in San Bernardino, are going to turn their head and let their neighbor next door do this kind of thing. And it's like not that you want to turn neighborhoods into local squealing entities or whatever, but still, we need to understand that we're all in this thing. We're all in this thing together. But that's a whole other topic. But anyway, let's talk about partying like a president and the true tales of inebriation, lechery, and mischief from the Oval Office. This is quite a story when people think about our presidents that we have elected, as you wrote about President Nixon carpet bombing while he himself was bombed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I tried to be funny about the whole book. I mean, if you flip through it, you see I collaborated with an illustrator, and so we try to take a kind of Daily Show approach to, the lives of our commanders-in-chief. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of it, you kind of realize that these are people too. I think at first when we started working on the book in 2012, it was just more or less a really, really flat idea of like a collection of stories of presidents' misbehavior, whether they were before they were elected or in their retirement or in the White House, and eventually it sort of found like a bigger life, and we realized that. Hey, we're actually working on a book that allows for everyone to have a solid understanding of presidential history, but the entry point is is a much more interesting entry point. I mean, if you went to any friend and, you told them about the Kansas-Nebraska Act, they would tune you out in 6 seconds. But if I told you about Franklin Pierce, crawling into a bottle of whiskey for the rest of his life after he saw his son get decapitated in a train accident, or Gerald Ford's 2-martini habit on Air Force One on pretty much every flight, you might sit back and want to listen a little more and kind of understand who these guys were, especially because, it's strange. I mean, there were only 43 men who served, in the presidency. Grover Cleveland twice, of course, so we've had 44 presidencies, but that's not a long list of names to know and understand. I mean, it should be pretty basic knowledge, and it's just unfortunate that no one. It's not of interest because it seems too wonky or boring. But if I were to learn about their sex and drinking and pill popping and bathroom habits, then yeah, I would probably bend an ear to that a lot faster.
Right. Well, and I think that, when you look at, even like Barack Obama, you see, these video shots of him when he first took office, all black haired, hardly a speck of white. Now you look at him and you say, wow, these 8 years have been rough on this man. I mean, he has aged incredibly, and that has been the case of every president that I remember. Is just, this is, it's a hard job to stay young in.
Yeah, and I think that, at least from what I learned kind of doing research for the book, was that that's probably been the case the entire time to some degree. I mean, it's true, Chester Arthur didn't have to worry about, the 24-hour news cycle and CNN cameras being outside of, his home. And, maybe Benjamin Harrison didn't have to worry about what would show up on Twitter that day. But I mean, they all were essentially, and relative to everyone else, like really, in busy positions, right? Lots of people looking at them, very little time to do much of anything else. So it's really remarkable if and when you run across an instance where a president, or for that matter, a governor of New Mexico, someone that's like in the head of an executive office, to party as much as they do. I mean, it generally, at least what I found, you saw that in the ascendants more than anything. You saw that on their way climbing up the political ladders, rubbing elbows on bar stools and that sort of thing. And then once you're there, it's just a matter of being too busy to even think about going there,
Right. Well, and I would think that because of, as you say, the busyness and the responsibility, the pressure of the office and that, maybe they need a little decompression. I mean, for Gerald Ford, 2 martinis on Air Force One, was it because, for him being on Air Force One was a white knuckle experience, or was he just that was just part of tradition and, something to bring him down from, the stress of the position?
Right. I mean, that's true. I spoke with some White House reporters who were around for the Ford administration and the Nixon administration, and I think it's really for Ford in the year 1975. It may not be that much different than today, me popping a Klonopin before I board a flight somewhere. Right. That may just be his way of medicating, and maybe if we learned that Obama was sucking down 2 martinis on every Air Force One flight, we might feel differently about it today than it was back then, and sort of just a few years away from that whole Mad Men era where a couple martinis at lunch wouldn't really be frowned upon,
Right.
So it is just a matter of society changing.
We know that drinking and the Beltway go together. I mean, that's the big thing, right? The cocktail parties of D.C., you've got to be at the right cocktail parties. You've got to play the game. And how much of the information do we want to know about our leaders? This is the stuff. I mean, hey, look at, they're human beings. We're all, like you say, we're all in the same boat. Doing this, having the same problems. But it is fascinating, no doubt at all. We've got more from Brian. Stay with us, America.
This report is brought to you by Blackhawk Network. This holiday season, shoppers can purchase gift cards for stock at select U.S. retailers. This new prepaid gift card, made possible by Stockpile and Blackhawk Network, can be redeemed online to open and fund a brokerage account with stock. Investing in the stock market can be confusing. Gift cards for stock are an easier way for people of all ages to get involved with investing and will appeal to people who want to give something more meaningful than a traditional toy this year. Terry Jack, Chief Marketing Officer, Blackhawk Network.
The gift card for stock can revolutionize the way people access the stock market. Giving someone a gift card to purchase shares of their favorite brand can be enriching and an educational experience for both the gift giver and receiver. After all the other holiday gifts are outgrown or overused, gift cards for stock could be one of those standout gifts that keeps on giving beyond the holidays.
For more information, visit stockpile.com. That's www.stockpile.com. I'm Malcolm Heaver. This report is brought to you by Pfizer. If symptoms of a health issue slow you down, you're not alone. Your employer feels it too. According to a recent report by the Institute for Health and Productivity Management and Pfizer Inc., a survey of 35 employers revealed that conditions like allergies, low back pain, and heartburn cost employers millions each year. One corporation reported $3.25 million lost annually in worker productivity because of these ailments. Other studies confirm that health issues result in significant costs to businesses, as impacted workers are often absent and less productive. However, help can come through access to over-the-counter medicines, or OTCs. Studies estimate that every $1 spent on OTCs saved the U.S. healthcare system $6 to $7 by reducing physician visits and medical expenses. Broad access to OTCs for the self-care of common ailments can help people find faster symptom relief, produce cost savings, and prevent lost productivity. Learn more about OTCs as a resource for self-care and wellness at ihpm.org.
Pat Boone here. Would you invest your life savings in a stock or bond, knowing it returns zero reward, while also putting your money at serious risk? Well, according to Don't Bank on It, your bank account is worse than this. It's a high-risk investment. In fact, depositors end up with a negative return after subtracting real-world inflation. Today, your bank deposits are in danger from 20 major risks, from cyber criminals, money-hungry politicians, and too-big-to-fail bankers. So, don't bank on it. The unsafe world of 21st century banking shows you how to save your savings and create a financial future you can bank on. Call now for a free copy of Don't Bank on It.
Thanks, Pat. Call toll-free 800-630-1496. That's 800-630-1496.
Call now for a free copy of Don't Bank on It.
800-630-1496.
Hey, Bill Martinez here, and I want to tell you about something I'd like you to help me with, something that is dear to my heart and I've been personally involved with for quite some time. Over the next couple of months here at Bill Martinez Live, we're going to be partnering with Food for the Poor to literally transform the lives of families in Haiti through food, housing, jobs training, and other life-changing and life-saving initiatives. I'm going to need your help. Food for the Poor has been helping the poorest of the poor for just about 30 years now in 17 Latin American and Caribbean countries and is the largest international relief organization in the U.S. One of the things I love best is 95 cents of every dollar goes directly to the work they're doing to benefit those they're helping. In a day and age when you can't always be sure how your money is being spent, Food for the Poor has the highest rate of efficiency that I'm aware of, bar none. So keep listening. We'll have more information, a link so you can help, and a phone number so you can call to make a difference. Food for the Poor and Bill Martinez Live, changing the world one family at a time.
You're listening to Bill Martinez Live.
Got to get you into my life.
What can I do? What can I be when I'm with you? Well, it's time to get you back in. Welcome back, America. 13 before the top of the hour. Bill Martinez here with you. Brian Abrams is back with us, the author of the best-selling Kindle single and now an oral history of late night with David Letterman from 1982 to 1993. We got to have a little bit of time to talk about Dave Letterman, particularly talking about his book, Party Like a President, True Tales of Inebriation, Lechery, and Mischief from the Oval Office. And Brian, only because he's back front and center again, one Bill Clinton, he just cannot seem to get away. He thought maybe he was beyond it, and, he had to think that somehow this was going to be revisited with his wife, running, for the Oval Office.
You're talking about You're talking about the sexual harassment suit with Paula Jones and Monica and that whole scandal?
And on. Yes, exactly. I mean, all this is coming back to the forefront again, and I'm sure that Hillary had to anticipate that this was going to come back. But well, I'll tell you, it's tough when you've got still 16 presidential candidates on the GOP side, and they're pigpiling now. It's true.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what that will look like in the general election. I mean, I'm sure as for now, in the primaries or especially in the Republican primary, there's a lot of rhetoric that's helping kind of cull together a base, whether it's Trump or Cruz. So, after Iowa and after New Hampshire, if candidates decide to try to find something in the middle, which I guess the last couple election cycles has shown the opposite, that even in a general election, politicians tend to, constantly try to bring the base out of the woodwork rather than find a happy medium. But when and if it comes out any sort of mudslinging about Bill and, whatever he may have done with Monica or Paula or Juanita Broderick, it'll be interesting to see how the general public kind of digests it, and if it's even relevant, or if the conversation will become more about, hey, enough about what Bill did in the 90s. I want to know about the economy today and about Homeland Security. Although you do bring up one interesting point, which is there's probably beyond that of being able to say, hey, look, we've progressed as a society. We're not into slut shaming. I don't care what this man did with a woman as long as it was consensual. There is a sense of, oh, this again, and that kind of feeling of getting stuck in these Clintonian history and all this sense of paranoia and entitlement, and that's probably a turnoff. I just unpacked a lot with your one question. Sorry, or I tried to.
Well, no, Brian. I mean, but that's what America is doing, and this is why they grow weary and they just say, you know what? I'm not going to vote. I don't care. I'm just. It's just so it's so messed up and so un-American, and this is why we have less and less people voting. I would not be surprised, Brian. I've been saying this for a while. I will not be surprised if the next president is elected with, 35% of the popular vote.
Yeah, I don't know what the turnout will be. I guess it's. I certainly think that, Trump, while he's, first off, he makes amazing television, and the only reason that he's constantly high in the polls is because he's hogging all the media coverage. So if a Christie or a Rubio is out there and has made an intelligent and nuanced comment, we're not going to know about it. And therefore they're not going to be able to surge, and people aren't going to hear that. Relative to the amount of television that Trump is getting, but for anyone on the left to want to pull the lever for Hillary because she's not Trump doesn't feel like enough to, you can't vote against somebody in order to get them elected. You have to vote for somebody. We
found that clearly in the last election, didn't we?
Well, that's interesting. It's funny. I felt like people were supportive of Obama. If you look at how many states he won, I was thinking more of of Kerry and W in how W wasn't even among people on the right. I don't know exactly how popular he may have or may not have been at that time. The war was never popular, but there just wasn't enough. Kerry wasn't a strong enough candidate to make the argument that he deserved to. Or that he could, beat him out.
Well, and I think in all fairness, like what you talk about in terms of Trump, hogging, Trump is an entertainer. He gets it. This is second nature to him. He's arguably
a bit out of the water when it comes to politics. The guy knows business, and we're trying to merge business and politics. We try to do that in California. I remind everybody of what happened with Governor Schwarzenegger when he took over for Gray Davis. You know, we thought, okay, we're going to have somebody who's a businessman who gets it and is going to be able to turn the tables upside down in Sacramento. Well, he found out real quick that the bureaucracy and the system is so rigged. In fact, as he was coming in, you know, they told him, they said, well, look, at 85% of the state's budget's already mandated, so you're only going to manage about 15%. And, oh, by the way, that 15%, Gray Davis already took care of that, plus another 19. So you're in the hole coming in through the door. So it's like, okay, who wants this job? I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. But you had a guy like Schwarzenegger who had a big megaphone. He was able to come over. He got himself elected. But can you go beyond the election? Can you get the job done? Is this bureaucracy so massive? Is it so mandated? Whether it's Trump, whether you know, if Abraham Lincoln was to come back on the scene, could he square us away? It really it's one of those issues. I think that we have an endemic problem with, and this is the body politic. It's about us, we the people, and that is that we've checked out, and we don't realize that. Look at the government we have is the government we deserve. We keep electing it into office. Somehow we think that what they have to offer is the answer. But I get into politics here and away from what I want to talk to you about in terms of your book, only because we are talking about these political figures.
Right. Well, I mean, we could talk about how Kim Kardashian's butt keeps us from thinking about all this stuff. You know, if that's what you're getting at.
I'm not. I'm not getting. Well, yeah. I mean, we're we're missing the point. I mean, we're looking for amusement, and that is the stuff that we don't have to engage our brain in. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I mean, hey, look, we should have a balanced approach, and we love entertainment. I love these things. I started out when you and I started talking. I appreciate your perspective, what you bring, because it's all part of the balanced recipe that I believe that all society needs. We need to have, your opinion like everybody else's. I think that's been part of the problem with our society. We've chosen to invalidate people's input, and some of them have said, okay, fine, they've gone off into their corners, and I believe it's been a big loss to our society because they're part of the grand recipe of what gets this country back on track and makes us be effective, including Kim Kardashian's rear end, and
I mean, it's true that if you're talking about my book and how it humanizes presidents and it makes you realize their flaws, and that somehow, it allows you to share a compassion for them and understand them as like a living, breathing thing, and it helps you become less cynical about the process, and that, it is true that there are people in public office who care and want to do the job, and then, like you say, they get tied up in the chess game. Whether that is a bureaucracy to keep checks and balances, or whether that's the lobbying community that, hushes up maybe people on the right who feel that our gun laws are too lax, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
But today, you look at instances where politicians try to show that human side of them, whether it's during a debate at the end of the debate, they ask some silly question, who do you like better, Johnny Cash or Santa Claus, or whatever the stupid question is. It all feels a little too contrived, and that obviously is. I mean, I think to some degree that's kind of the way that just the state of the media has been post Watergate, and post Gary Hart, that it's really impossible to allow for like an organic moment to happen. Everything is way too calculated. There was a book that came out last year in which a guy was discussing, the writer was talking about his interviews when he covered John Kerry, and he was sitting down with John Kerry, and somehow they ordered water, or the subject of bottled water or spring water came up, and he just kind of casually asked John Kerry, which water do you like? And he didn't mean anything by it. Do you like Perrier? Do you like Pellegrino? Do you like Evian? Whatever. And Kerry just turns to him and says, just good old American water, because he realized that he might have been in a gotcha moment.
Yes, right.
That's where the mindset has kind of gone, and so it's unfortunate that it's impossible to kind of have this organic room for air to breathe for everybody.
Yeah, can you just be yourself? And I think that's why people look back on the presidency of one Ronald Reagan, because what you saw was what you got. Very charming, entertaining, and he didn't really much care if you got him or not. You have somebody like that, and then you have somebody else on the other end of the spectrum, like a Newt Gingrich, who I believe is brilliant, and I still think that we could have a pay-per-view, kind of an MMA debate type of style between a Newt Gingrich and somebody from the left. If it was Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or something, I think we could have a lot of fun with that, and maybe learn a lot in the process, and maybe allow people. Just to be human, and maybe have fun. What do you think, Brian?
Sure. I'd watch Newt anytime.
Exactly. Brian Abrams, author of the best-selling Kindle single, And Now. Brian, thank you so much. Have a Happy New Year, and thank you for coming on. It's 2 minutes before the top of the hour. That's a wrap for us. We'll see you tomorrow on New Year's Day 2016.
Aloha! Experience your home away from home being beachfront at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Begin your getaway relaxing on over 11 acres of tropical Hawaiian gardens at Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel, voted Best Aloha Spirits by Hawaii Magazine readers. Just walking around the grounds with all the tropical vegetation, relaxing poolside, or kicking back in the sun on the world-renowned Kaanapali Beach makes you feel like you're home in paradise. There's a package to fit all your needs. Wedding, honeymoon, activities, private parties, great food, or just good old beach fun. The hotel perpetuates the Hawaiian tradition at its best. Call 661-0011 or visit kbhmaui.com.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
The Radio 10.
Little Caesars Premium Detroit-style deep dish pizza with more cheese and pepperoni is our most premium pizza experience. And now it's even more premium. Just call 1-855-TALK-DEEP and we'll compliment you while you eat it. This premium treatment isn't just for eccentric billionaires. It's for you, with your shiny hair and very kind eyes. That one's on us. Pick up our premium deep dish pizza for just $8 and call 1-855-TALK-DEEP. Hot and ready 4 to 8, or order anytime, you cool rebel. Only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
At participating locations plus tax.